I opened the door and let the cat outside. She was a bit unsure at first and kept looking back at me, almost as if she was asking for my permission. She might have thought we were trying to trick her somehow. She then laid down and stared at me, so I decided to sit outside with her and give her a few pats. I told her she was allowed to be outside and that she could come back whenever she wanted to, and when she did decide to come back, we would let her back in. She seemed satisfied with this and started to walk off, but she still kept looking back at the doors. I thought she might be having second thoughts about leaving. It was like she didn't completely trust me when I told her she could come back. Then I realised the reason she kept looking back was because she wanted her kitten. We'd locked him in the bathroom, so there'd be no chance of him escaping when we let her outside. I counted, and she'd looked back a total of 8 times before she finally decided to head off. I sat and watched her for a little while, as I was quite curious to see what she'd do and where'd she'd go. She went around the corner, sniffed some things, then came back and checked the doors again. I gave her another pat, and this time she decided to really head off. I checked on the kitten. My husband had let him out of the bathroom and he had seen that his mum was outside. He came running to the door. We felt a little mean. We shouldn't have let him see that she was outside. It wasn't fair on him, as we weren't letting him outside until he was desexed. So we played with the kitten to distract him. I gave her a good pat, picked her up and brought her back inside. Success. So that worked out really well. She was outside for only a couple of hours, but she didn't run away, and it wasn't a struggle to get her back either. I think the weather and the fact that her kitten was still inside helped her not run away. The real test would be when we let her outside when it wasn't raining. The next day, it was my husband who let the cat outside. We thought this might help strengthen their relationship if she could see that even he was happy for her to leave the house. He held onto the kitten for moral support. The kitten kept a keen eye on the cat through the windows. He seemed a little worried and mewed at his mum. My husband thought it might be nice to let the kitten outside too, so he put him on a lead, as we had to make sure he wouldn't run away. A while later, my husband wanted to go back inside, so we tied the kitten to the outside chair. The cat came to investigate, but she didn't like the lead one bit. It seemed like too much of a trap to her. She ran off. The kitten kept exploring around the chair, but he was too curious to look at everything, so he kept tangling himself up. I thought it was too dangerous to leave him, so I took him back inside. At least he'd had some outside play, even if only for a little bit. He ran to the living room and watched his mum through the window. She came back a few times and kept meowing at him to go outside with her. We couldn't let him out, so the kitten needed some moral support and went to his favourite person. Who do you think that was? My husband, of course. He lay on the couch with him for a little while. I decided to see what the cat was up to. She was in the backyard now and was checking on her old nest. Many things had changed. Everything was wet, and I'm sure she was glad we had taken her in when we did. I left her to keep exploring by herself. After lunch, I tried to get her to come back inside. I used the kitten as bait and held him up to the door. She came closer but turned around and walked off. I was hoping she'd walk back inside by herself, but it was getting late, so I decided to pick her up and bring her inside in my arms. We kept up with this routine over the next couple of days. It was raining on and off all week, so it really was a good time to let her out, as the rain ensured she kept coming back to us. After a couple of weeks, the rain finally stopped. It was a bright sunny day. During the wet weather, the cat had gotten used to going outside and would often run to the back door expecting to be let out. She had done this without fail every morning as soon as we'd opened the bathroom door. I was a little hesitant to let her outside, as the good weather meant she could wander as far as she wanted to go. I did let her out though, as she had certainly waited long enough. What's that saying? If you love something, set it free, and if it comes back, then it loves you too. Suddenly, I heard a bell. Did that come from outside? I went to the front door.
Yay!
And there she was. She came back.